The importance of co-parenting. Every child has the right to bond with the parents that gave them life. Children are happiest when they can freely communicate and enjoy the time, talents, and lessons that each parent brings to the relationship.
We make co-parenting difficult when we focus on differences rather than what is in the best interests of our children. Parents, your relationship with each other should never affect the relationship you have with your child. Celebrate your children together. They deserve your best. A message brought to you by the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services. Contact us at 467-1311 or 662-6833 for more information.
Too often, customers are counted but not valued, like mere numbers, statistics, transactions. But at Flow, we're rewriting the rules and prioritizing you, our valued customers, who have been with us through every milestone, every moment. That's why we're putting our money where your loyalty is. Flow customers claim your $600 gift card when you add internet to your current postpaid plan. Because loyalty isn't a one-way street. At Flow, loyalty flows both ways.
Need to get your goods to St. Kitts and Nevis? Look no further. TDC Shipping has you covered with reliable cargo solutions by land, air, and sea. Whether it's a package from across the world or a large shipment of goods, TDC Shipping makes it easy, affordable, and stress-free. And with our Airbox service, ordering from your favorite online stores just got even easier. Ship straight to your mailbox and let TDC Shipping handle the rest. Fast, secure, and even to your door. Visit us today at the C.A. Paul Southwell Industrial Park or Penny's Industrial Site, or call 465-2511 in St. Kitts or 469-5430 in Nevis. TDC Shipping, where reliable service meets unbeatable convenience. TDC, together we succeed.
And welcome back, and I'm now into voices, and as usual I'm gonna carry over, as I often do, from Island T into voices. Now, for some time I've been saying to you that I want to play some clips in a series, one to do with Haiti, a synopsis history of Haiti, and another how the Bible was put together. I often, for the past sessions of Voices, have not been able to get into that because I give a caller precedence. Whenever a caller calls, I give that caller the preference, and then we segue off into different things. But I'm going to try to start today with those two issues. First, a synopsis history on Haiti. And one of the reasons I do this is because we as a Caribbean region has got to come to the position where we understand what unification is all about and the importance of us finding a way as a Caribbean region to deal with the situation that is happening in Haiti to the point where it can be completely eliminated so that Haiti can move forward just the way we are moving forward, with a society that is calm, a society that is open for development, industry, better education, a society and communities that are not caught up in crime and violence and those things that impede its progress. But to do so, we must understand the history of Haiti. Haiti is in the position that it is in because whether you want to acknowledge it or not, the powers that be, the developed world, wants Haiti to be in the position that it is in. For whatever reason, it benefits them. And they would like if that kind of situation in Haiti could spill not only from Haiti but to other islands, and we in the Caribbean can be in a state of chaos and our development to this point can be retarded. If you don't believe that, then all you've got to do is look at how things have played out for the past 400 years and stop and realize that we, the ones in the Caribbean who are not steeped in turmoil and internal strife, it is because these were the ones that were controlled more specifically by the colonialist powers, and eventually, well, during that period, they benefited from these islands to the extent that after the Industrial Revolution and they migrated and moved into their industrial advancement, they left us and they assumed that we would perish because for the 400 years prior, they preached that we were incapable of governing ourselves, of advancing in a way that will enhance our development as a people. We have proven them wrong. Unfortunately, Haiti, because Haiti has been allowed to stay in that position of deprivation and internal strife, is still in the position that it is in today. And I can assure you that if you had the means of finding out who were the ones behind ensuring that the so-called gangs and lords and the ones who are creating havoc in Haiti, if you could find out where they got their guns and ammunition from, you would be very surprised. Well, perhaps not so surprised if you are one who is aware of our history as a people. So that is why I tend to play these clips that reminds us that Haiti did not come from a recent history similar to ours. From the moment that the Haitian people fought for and achieved independence from their colonialist masters back in the day, they have been put in a position where they must suffer for it. They were supposed to be the ultimate example of what we should never do as a people, and that is we should never fight for independence and freedom. And so even those of us today who are experiencing a level of so-called independence, as Hortensia said just before she left, some of us have even moved to the point where we have become republics, as a lot of people have been touting. But even having taken on the mantle of becoming a republic, you're still holding on to your colonialist masters and still being subservient, even as a republic, to your colonial masters. So it is very important that we are reminded of the history of Haiti so that we can understand why Haiti is in the position that it is in today.
They did not just sit down and let themselves be taken away. They fought. They fought all the way to the boat. They fought on the boat. They killed themselves throughout the trip. They killed themselves as they get off the boat or killed whoever was tying them up. So the fight began the day the aggression, the kidnapping, the slave mentality began to capture people.
Many things are true. There are books on tops of books. You will read as to why the economic reasons why they had to occupy it. Oh, no. The trouble, so much coup d'etats and too many killings of officials and too much trouble in the country. That's why the U.S. had to occupy Haiti. But here's what the U.S. did. When they came in the first time, they occupied Haiti. First, they changed all the worthwhile laws from the books. I'm sorry, that wasn't first. The very first thing was, Haiti was the only country at that time who did not have their money backed in the Americas, backed by the dollar. Our money was backed by gold. Our entire reserve, gold reserve, was taken away for safekeeping, we were told, and brought to Fort Knox. It has yet to return home. This was 1915. When somebody asks you why is there so much poverty, when some white person says, oh, I want to go help the poor people in Haiti, so I'm going to bring a little bread and a little water for them. Ask them, why don't you just ask your government to give them back their gold? Yes. So, we're looking at a country that has set a model for black countries. The only country who had a constitution which was in accord with what the purpose of the people. We cannot have black people enslaved or colonized, and then when we're free we say, oh, our colonizers are our best friends. They teach us the laws we should have in the books. We're going to take their books to have the schools. We're going to take their doctors to come and build our hospitals. Why the hell then why don't you just stay in slavery or stay in colonization? We have an example, Nigeria. Very important country. 110 million people strong. Powerful land, variety in climate. Nigeria has everything to win as a black country. When Nigeria was becoming, and they did not give Nigeria up. Because Nigeria was too much wealth, too much of everything. And it had a very dynamic personality, the people of Nigeria. When you read the Constitution of Nigeria, you can hardly tell this is a black nation. But furthermore, the accompanying agreements, Nigerians agreed to live in the hands of England. The educational system, the justice system, the finance system, and the resources. So here we are independent. Here's how it went in Nigeria. We're independent. Hooray! Independence! Wonderful. But England will determine what you do as far as education is concerned, will determine how money is spent and for what, will determine how resources are used, and will determine justice for the next 15 to 20 years. Is that independence?
And there you had it, just a little smattering of the history of Haiti. And let me remind you, in case you are unaware, that after the world, and when I say the world, I mean a combination of the Americans, the French, the Spanish, the British, the Dutch, all of those colonialist powers from back in that era, when they were able to capture to Saint Louverture and they got control of Haiti, one of the first things they did was to ensure that France got reparations from Haiti for the loss of their slaves. I want you to stop and digest that for a minute or two. Here is an island in the Caribbean, one island that stood up against the world and was able to garner independence. And because that island got independence, the world, and I repeat again, the world fought against that one little island. Now look at Haiti today. Look at the size of Haiti in comparison with the Dutch territories, the French territories, the British territories, the United States, and so on and so forth. Look at the size of Haiti, and to see that Haiti was able to hold them off and garner independence. But the first thing they did when they were able to get back control of Haiti is not to say, okay, you fought for your independence, we're going to give you some scope so that we can see if you can thrive in your independence. We're going to assist you in reaching a certain level and see where you can move from there. No. The first thing these colonialist powers did was ensure, because France demanded that they wanted reparations because the French plantation owners of Haiti said that they had lost capital or money or revenue because they did not have their slaves and they wanted reparations. And the world decided yes. And do you know that it is only recently, and when I said recently, perhaps maybe 15 or so years, 20, somewhere around there years ago, that Haiti was able to finish paying reparations. Now, I want you to wrap your mind around that. We often hear songs and we hear of 400 years of slavery. So for 400 years, Haiti has been paying reparations to France. And one of the reasons why I push and I place emphasis on what is happening in Africa today is because we in the Caribbean have been and are treated no different from the way Africa has been treated. We have only been allowed a certain level of freedom and scope because we did not have what the developed world needed for their further advancement, whereas Africa had it. Africa has an abundance of oil, an abundance of gold, an abundance of diamonds, an abundance of uranium, an abundance of all the minerals that the developed world needs to thrive. So when we in the Caribbean like to feel that we are segregated from Africa, and we like to say, I am not an African, I am not of African descent, I am a Caribbean person, or even worse, I am a West Indian person, and I feel to call yourself a West Indian person is the worst thing that we in this region can do, because the phrase or term West Indian in our region is a misnomer. It is a lie. There is no West Indies. That is why it is better for us to refer to ourselves as the Caribbean. And this is why it annoys me. Okay, so you got away with it in the past. But this is why it annoys me that up to this present day, we still call our higher institute of learning in the Caribbean the University of the West Indies. Now, tell me where you have an institution in the Caribbean that so many of you are proud of having gone to learn. No problem with that. You had to go there and get. Okay, so you didn't know, you were ignorant, and back in the day, you accepted this West Indian name term. But at this day and age, you need to discard it. You need to, you will not be seen as an individual with an independent scope or an independent way of thinking if you keep holding on to this University of the West Indies. You know, it annoys me. People call in and people say, you shouldn't call your children kids. And the other day, a guy called in and he said, we shouldn't be referred to as black because black is a color and blah, 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 and all that kind of semantics and rhetoric. Okay, so you're touting that, but yet still you feel comfortable holding on to a title, our institution of our highest institution of learning and education. The title is a lie. The University of the West Indies should discard that title, call it the University of the Caribbean. And you know why they didn't call it the University of the Caribbean? Because they want the Caribbean people to hold on to their lies. Rather than speaking the truth and saying this is a Caribbean region, they did not want you or us to know the history of the indigenous people who were here, the Carlinegos or the Carib people. So they, rather than telling us the truth and naming the University of the so-called West Indies the University of the Caribbean, no, because if you call it the University of the Caribbean, you are giving credit and credence to the prior indigenous people here, the Caribs. So they didn't want that. So they gave us a lie and they said, call it, name it the University of the West Indies. I am a big fan of cricket, but it irks me every time I have to say I am a West Indian cricket supporter. It irritates me. I prefer to say I'm a Caribbean. Mind you, I'm very proud of what the Caribbean cricketers did, the achievement. That was an era that we should all be proud of and that we should try our best to go back to. But it irks me every time I have to, and even if you went to the University of the so-called West Indies and you got your degrees, I am not saying you discard your degrees, you know. You studied, you put yourself through the discipline of getting a degree, you are entitled to it. I am saying I have a problem with you still referring to your highest institution of learning as the University of the West Indies. When Christopher Columbus came down here and he realized that he was in a place that he did not intend to be, he went back home and he lied to Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, and he lied to them, and they pick up the lie and they move forward with the lie of the West Indies, and we are continuing the lie. It is a psychological impediment when our institution of highest education is still termed in a form that is a misnomer. There is no such a place in this region as the West Indies. So whenever we hear of Haiti, there's so much that we can learn from the history of Haiti that we can put into what we know today. And again, I repeat, we in the Caribbean you see what they're doing to Africa today? You see what the colonialists have done to Africa? You see how the British and the Dutch and the French and the whoever have made sure that they develop at a rate where what they give us now in the Caribbean and Africa is aid. And the bulk of the money that they are giving us in aid is being raped from the mother Africa. They go to Mother Africa, they steal almost everything out of Mother Africa, they develop their economies, and they are so filthy rich today that they can give you this and give you that and say it is aid. But for the aid that they give you, the so-called aid that they give us, we have to capitulate. We have to forever be bowing and genuflecting and practically still be saying, yes, sir, master, sir. Yes, sir, master, sir. We thank you for the aid to health. We thank you for the aid to education. We thank you for the aid to this. And we thank you for the... And then look what they do when they come down here and they are supposed to invest. When they come down here and they're supposed to invest, look what they do to our leaders. You come as an investor and they make sure they get everything in the book free. And one thing they're supposed to do, and they do this every X amount of years, we having our laws that as long as you have this title for your business, you're supposed to be exempt from taxes and so forth for a period of, let's say, 10 to 15 years. And look what all of them do. And they're doing it up to today. After that 10 to 15 years, they change the title of their business so that they can move forward and be exempted from taxes again. And we in the Caribbean who say we are independent and we are well-thinking people, we allow it to happen every time. And our politicians put all kind of taxes on its people, don't help us to, don't give us grant or aid or whatever. And you might say, okay, well, we're not in a financial position to do that. We're not in a financial position to do it because the so-called investors come here and bleed us to death. You think when you hear a company name so and so, and next thing after a certain period you hear the name change and it's no longer called so and so, it's called so and so. You think that is by chance? That is to evade paying taxes because they've had that title for so long. Man, I tell you, I don't know when we as a people are going to wake up. Hello, caller.
You think? Yes, Quinn. I just turn on and listening to you, right? Now, what you're saying, right? Who to blame? Do you constantly blame the people or you blame the government? Don't you think if the government need to take responsibility for these stuff? Because like you said, the businesses come to invest. And we're gonna use Marriott for an example. Right? Marriott. During the election when it was unity campaigning, you heard about how much money Marriott owed, right? And it was taught on the platform, Marriott owed this and so much amount of back taxes or whatever they owe. And as unity get in, what did they do? Write off Marriott debt. Give them whatever they want to call it. So literally they didn't have to pay it. Who do you blame for that? Ain't the greedy governments we have?
I blame the government and I blame the people. Because we as a Caribbean people must come to the understanding that governments give you what you expect. And governments will not do anything if you don't make demands. We as a Caribbean people have not been making demands of our governments. We vote in governments and we expect them to treat us good. We need to stop voting in governments and expect them to treat us good. We need to start demanding that they treat us good. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with you, dear. But when I say, I'm not even talking about blaming the people of thinkers. I'm talking about the investors. I like you was like to say our colonial masters. Can we continue blaming our colonial masters?
No.
What happened when do we take responsibility?
Well, I agree with you 100% there. We cannot be blaming our colonial masters no longer when they come and they exploit a situation that they put in place, and we say we are independent and we allow it to continue.
Exactly. So it's high time that we take responsibility. We hold, like it's the whole government, the leaders, the people that you put in office. You hold their feet to the fire because they're the one. Because the breaks that they give to those people that they call it foreign investors, the locals can't get those same breaks. The locals can't go up the port and get the duty, the big duty free, like how they can get it. So the people suffer while everybody come in and they come in and they make life, and the locals can barely can make life. All we manage to do is to get the crumbs off the table. Why is that?
Let me give you an example of where the people don't make demands and the government keep digging the people in their eyes, or as old people would say, the government keeps sticking a stick in a raw sore. We have heard over and over about tax upon tax. We have heard Dwyer Astafan, who was a former minister, speak about the illegality of the present tax system when we ship things here and we pay custom duties. More recently, Mark Brantley, who has been a minister of government for a very long period, he spoke to it. But yet still the government keeps moving along. There are those who say, okay, the government does it because it helps to build up their coffer. Whether it helps to build up your coffer or not, it is not right. And if it is not right, you need not to do it to your people. You need to find other ways of getting revenue so that you can ease the burden on your people. We import almost everything. Go ahead, make your point.
Exactly, right? Like you said, they can't keep trying it on the people. Now these investors will come in and they get our land. Do you think our land should be sold to them? I said no. Lease the land.
Yes.
Build whatever you're gonna build. When you're ready to go, you pack up your happy self and your little money you done make and you go. You leave our land.
But
the land should not be sold to no investors.
But that is
should be leased in our land.
But caller, when you speak of Bratcher had his fault, and Bratcher had a tendency to kind of dictate certain policies, or he had a strong man way of doing things. But during that period of when Bratcher was the leader, and you had the starting of the industrial site and the industrial. Our little minute industrial revolution, if I am not right, somebody correct me. But my understanding is that all of those factories that existed on the industrial site, the investors would not come and buy them. They would lease them. So that whenever the lease was up, they would take their bundle and they would go and another company goes into the shell. So how is it that you have examples from leaders before and you have present day leaders, a country that is only 60-something square miles, and our leaders are selling citizenship and selling land? However, how much land we have?
That's because they don't realize. Hello?
I'm listening.
That's because they don't realize land is wealth. Because what you realize, when you sell a piece of land, you get that money done. But when you lease, constantly pay for that land. Land is wealth.
Yes. When we know historically, look, here's a scenario. The colonialist masters left us. They went and they built up their industries. They are filthy rich today, okay? They left us and we were supposed to perish. Unfortunately for them and unfortunately for us, we had some leaders who pushed us in a direction where we are today, standing where we are. But here is it, our present day leaders is selling back the land to the former colonialists who stay from over there and realize the Caribbean is a beautiful place where you can go and soak up the sunshine, you can live in your condominiums and whatnot. So they envy the natives now and they want it back, and our leaders are allowing them to get it back. Now history has shown when these people get back the land, we're not going to get it back again,
Of course not.
Hello, caller.
Yeah, I'm still here. I said, of course
No,
not.
no.
We're not gonna get it back again.
There's another caller.
Good morning, Queen.
Yes. So you want to hang up or you wait?
Yes, I'll let that caller talk. Have a good day, guys.
Okay. Hello, caller.
Good morning, Queen. It's always good to have these discussions, even though at times they only end up to be discussion.
Yes.
At the end of the day, there normally be no action taken on these discussions. But it's always good to hear the facts and shine the light in the darkness so that all could see. I'm not going to change your topic because it's a good one. But the issue is that this morning you were speaking about brutality that was taking place and a man beating up on a woman.
Yes.
And the whole idea is that it had been said a long time ago that the hand that rocked the cradle is the hand that rules the world.
Yes.
And so therefore every child have been raised by women, and it appears to me that only a woman can teach a boy to be a man.
I disagree with that.
You don't have to agree. It's okay.
Yeah, okay.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
Even though you don't agree, we must always remember, we normally people who go back to biblical days,
yes,
and we remember the son, which is called Moses, who was raised by his mother,
yes,
Jochebed, and he was adopted by Pharaoh's sister, appeared to be his mother, but Jochebed is the one who raised him. He was trained in all formation to be the new Pharaoh.
Yes.
And that was his position to take over. Now, principles that make man and discipline that is put in a man to make him a man, all of those ideas and those things from childhood, because you cannot be a tree when it's old. Childhood is trained by a woman.
I disagree
and
with
the
you.
Only person,
Wait, I'm going to let you go ahead, but again, I must, on that particular point, I must disagree with you. I do not feel that a woman can train a man to be a man.
To be a man.
Just the same, I do not feel a man can train a woman to be a woman. He can set certain examples for her to follow, and she can look and see the man that she might want in her life by emulating, taking some of the traits from her father. The same with the mother. Go ahead.
I'm using a similar method that I agree with you because you make a point and it's valid. But if I want you to be a carpenter, I have to be a carpenter to train you to be a carpenter.
Yes.
To become like me as a carpenter.
Yes.
Because I want you to build the buildings the way and the style that I want you to build.
Yes.
And that is the system of the colonial system. They train you in a position to be what they want you to be and what they expect you to be. And that's what education is all about.
Yes.
Education is not because you know maths and you could read English. It's a wider brush than that.
Yes, it has a psychological connotation to it.
Yes. So therefore, what I'm saying is that there are some people who goes around and they're being very disrespectful to others. And we question their ability to be respectful. And the thing is, what I normally say is that the question that I ask, how can a man respect you, Quint, when he have no respect for himself?
Yes, and I agree.
A man can only give what he have.
I agree 100%.
If he possess no respect for himself, he cannot give respect to no one else.
Yes.
Because you know what, that is who he is.
And let me put it further. Let me strengthen your point.
Okay.
The man who beat up on that woman like that, he has no respect for himself. If he had respect for himself, he would not carry himself that way and present himself to society in that form. Go ahead.
Okay. The strength of a man is to protect women and children. The continuation and the carry on going forward is to protect women and children. They are the one who move the nation forward. They are the mover of the nation.
I agree with you.
And they have the strength and they have the weakness. So do we. At the same time, we must put ourselves in a position to protect them.
Yes.
Politicians who get in power don't change. They get into power, and they came from us, our society, and they reach in power because we put them there.
Yes.
And when they reach in power, they don't change. They just reveal who they are.
That is
when power reaches in their hands.
That is true.
That is when they show their true identity by the revelation of which they present.
Yes.
And so don't think that because they get in power, they change. That is who they've been all the time.
Who they were all the time. Yes.
Given power, that is when they change. The other thing, if you notice, we have a saying, either the chicken before the egg. Which one comes first?
Yes.
In my mind, most politicians will prefer to see their people have gainful employment, generating an income, working and producing a salary to be productive in society. That they will pay taxes, they will pay their social security. But for some reason or another, our politicians have not been fruitful for a long time in bringing any investors to think it. Why not? Well, there are some of the things that we can recognize that are happening. Our minimum wage have grown tremendously over the past years compared to other countries. And so when you look at our minimum wage versus a factory that could employ thousands of people and put them in the industrial side to work, will not come, because when they work out the cost of production versus shipment and freight and the logistics that goes with it, when they sell their product, what will they be able to make from that product based on the high price of our cost of living? Well, we say the cost of living small, the money small, and we want more money. Yes, we want more money. Sometimes we have to work out whether taking less or none at all or more. Which one do we go? No, we're in a position. I'm going to finish right now. We're in a position where the politicians
you don't have
no
to
employment.
You don't have to hurry to make your point. Take your time. Go ahead.
Okay. No, we have most of our people that are unemployed. And some of our people who are employed are probably not getting enough, because our system is 40 hours per week. Out of the 40 hours per week, we might be going home with $300 per week. Going home with $300 a week, the Prime Minister see that, and so what he did. He came to the people and he said, look, I will give you 500. Well, he find out that he cannot give 500, so he dropped down to 250. So everybody who is working in St. Kitts is getting an additional 250, except those who get pension or Social Security. If you are non-national, this is how, in my opinion, that it might have been cleaner, because when you spend money, the idea of spending money is to try your endeavor best to avoid spending and overspending, even though you have good intention to help. Our country have lots of non-national working in St. Kitts. To me, any aid like that should go to national citizens who live in St. Kitts, not citizens who are not living in St. Kitts. No, when I say citizen, you must carry a St. Kitts passport to receive those blessings. If you live in the U.S. and you're a green card holder, there's certain things that you cannot get because you know why? You're not a citizen. You're just a resident. And residents have the privilege to work and pay taxes, but even though they do, they don't have certain privilege of reaping certain benefits that the citizens can reap. So those are the differences. The other thing is that foreigners who arrive in St. Kitts, when they arrive with a small case, it comes with a plan, and they roll out the plan before the government, and they say, look, this is the plan we have. You take it or leave it, and it's on the table. And if they don't take it, the plan is gone, and you don't hear anything about it again, and there goes employment for your people.
Yes.
So then you ask the question of the government that is in power. What do? Do you take the plan that is offered to you that will create employment for your people, or put them to the side of the road to cut grass? The other thing is those people who have employment. You have the government versus the private sector. The private sector is supposed to be the growth of the economy, rather than government have this large employment. take to consider the amount of money that government pay in salary to keep those people employed. What about the amount of money that you pay for wages?
Yes.
And what about the non-productive things that
Well,
people do in
caller,
government and
caller,
are getting paid?
Caller, I'm going to make a statement and then I'm going to ask you a question. The statement is this. The statement is this. Earlier you said, and using the example of the man who was beating up on the woman, you said that it was because we don't have a self-love, okay? So because he did not love himself and respect himself, he could go out in society and beat up on someone else. Well, let's take that to another level. Let's take that into government. And the question now I'm going to ask you, having made the statement, is this. Why is it that our governments, not only in St. Kitts Nevis, but in the region and even on Mother Africa, we see a lot of our governments, black people like us, why is it that they are so accommodating to these so-called investors while at the same time putting as much of a squeeze on the masses of the very same people who they elected, who elected them? Why is that the case?
Okay, the case is that you're from here and you live here and you have no place else to go. That's number one. Number two, the person who arrived here have an intention and do imply a number of people. Having that amount of people under the employment wields a certain amount of power because the government of the day want those people to stay employed.
Yes.
And so the person, the investors make their demand and they threaten to pull out.
Yes.
And having threatened to pull out, the government is looking around to see where and how they can create employment for these same people if this investor pull out.
Yes, okay. So stop
So
there.
what you call caught, they get caught between a rock and a hard place.
So stop there. Your answer is not incorrect. It is right. But that isn't the answer I wanted. Here's what I'm going to say to you. One of the main reasons why the question I posed to you was, why is it that they acquiesce to the foreign investor but put a burden on their local people? The reason is because, I am telling you, the reason is because of self-hatred. Our
That
people...
is true because there are lots of times that, in my view, that, well, I must give in mind, someone mentioned Robert Llewellyn Bratcher, the late Robert Llewellyn Bratcher, but I must also put in that area, I'm going to come back to you, that Robert Bratcher had less power than the Prime Minister do have now in our country.
You're right.
And at the same time, he had access to less financial gain than our Prime Minister have now.
Yes.
And so therefore, we are in different times, and the Prime Minister can do far much more. He can function different if he allow himself enough room to function, and he must look at the play field and play like he sees it. And as long as he clean and honest, people will respect him as such. And he must not claim to know everything because there is no one who knows everything. And every time he opens his mouth to speak about and elaborate on every lot of things, I will tell you this, Quinn, that I know enough to know that I don't know enough.
Ah.
And there's somebody else who knows more than me.
The same with me.
And is better informed than I do. And so therefore, other people who have made mistakes, and if they see me making the same mistake that they have made, I hope they will put out the hand and say, stop. And I will not frown or stretch up my nose against them. And I will listen to them because, you see, out of those is the abundance of their mistake. I could learn not to make the same mistake that they are making.
Yes.
But I'm not in power. No one vote for me. So therefore, having been in such, having said such.
You see that point that you made in terms of Bratcher? That point is so important. It is. I didn't think of it. You see, sometimes this is why I like callers to call and let's have a rapport. Because when you have a rapport, I listen and my mind opens up. Now here it was Bratcher, and what did we have? We had statehood, I think it was during that time.
Yes, we were on the statehood, Great Trinity of Ireland.
Yes, we were under statehood, which meant that we were still under the might of
Colonial rule.
the colonialists. But yet,
it's an introduction to independence.
yes, but yet still, because I'm trying to strengthen your point. Here was a man who was still under the firm grip of the colonialists, but this man was making certain steps to make sure that his country and his people evolved. I remember hearing a story that one time Canada, who was giving us a lot of aid, you remember that era?
Oh, yes. Oh, plenty.
Yes,
Plenty,
Canada
yes.
was giving us numerous aid, and they said that one time a foreign minister of Canada sat down with Bratcher and he said to him, look, we're helping you and so forth, so you think you could work out something with us where we get a better price on your sugar? And they said, Bratcher looked at him and said, look, we are the poor ones here, you know. We're grateful for your assistance, but are you going to continue to assist us and at the same time try to take money out of our pocket in terms of the sugar? And they said the foreign investor, he gave in. Now you understand the strength of that argument?
Diplomacy.
But here is
diplomatic diplomacy and defensive.
But fast forward to today. As you said, our leaders are in a stronger position today because we are so-called independent, but yet still they bow to everything the investor asks for. They don't use diplomacy and tact. It seems as if our leaders in the Caribbean do not understand two key words: diplomacy and tact.
Well,
they need to go back to school to learn what diplomacy and tact means. It means when an investor comes to you and they make demands, you sit down with them and you say, look, man, what you want me to do? I could only bend so far backward. Meet me halfway. What about I propose this and you understand? That is what negotiation is.
Quint, it have been said a long time ago that a man is known by the company he keeps. And if you lie down with the dog, the fleas will get on you. The eagles don't fly with the ducks. They fly differently. Now, if you associate yourself with people who think a different way, like I said before, as a man think in his heart, so is he.
Yes.
He cannot produce if he cannot afford to think it. He has to have the ability to think. Everybody can hear, but not everybody can listen. And not everybody can analyze. Lots of people can call words, but can they read? You cannot read if you cannot comprehend what the words you call. If you cannot understand what you are saying by just saying words because you know them, you're just somebody who is babbling. Even the good book says that he who speak in tongues, when you do so, and those who are around you don't understand or cannot understand, keep your mouth shut. So when you hear people talking in tongues and they're saying Aksaka Branda and all that kind of thing, they don't even know what they're saying. Never mind somebody around them who should be able to understand. Spanish is a language, English is a language, German is a language. There's different languages. I don't know about one in tongues because I don't know where you want to go in another tongue. That's another subject.
That's another subject.
You want to go into tongues when everybody around you speak English. Okay. So therefore, at the end of the day, I said all of that to say that if you entrench yourself with people to advise you who don't know what they're thinking or what they're saying, how can you achieve anything? Because your advisors are not able to advise you in the right direction that you need to go.
Yeah.
I think it's time to cut ties with lots of the advisors. There are lots of things that we have done financially, mistakes that we have made, and I hear Dara talk about some of them, that we need to reach out and correct the mistakes. This is not the time to blame Dr. Douglas about what he did and Timothy Harris. Make decision now.
Yes.
Correct them.
Yes.
Make the correction. Bite the bullet and correct them. Correct the mistake. If the thing was wrong yesterday, It is wrong today.
Yes.
And it appears to me like the only revenue collecting downtown is Rose. And if not Rose, it would be Citizens by Investment, and that is Spa and Coming.
Yes.
Whatever expenditure exceed our generating income, it appears to me, I'm not sure generating income, but if you look at the financial budget, then you will find them in the thing. But at the end of the day, our expenditure is big.
Yes.
We have more chiefs than what Indian. We have a chief immigration. We have a chief prison. We have a chief police. We have a chief fire. We have a chief hospital. There's so much chiefs and no Indian. Whereas immigration was run by one commissioner, a police. Prison had superintendent. Fire had superintendent. You hear the rank they reach? Command under the commissioner of police. Now we have to pay all these ranks and the same jobs being done. I normally take walks through in the trails and so on and see lots of garbage. Throw by the side of the road. We have litter warden. We don't even hear about talking trash no more, so that people could talk and say, where they see this. All these are enhancement of the country to upgrade our standard of living and to make sure we are paying everyone every month, but we are not getting bang for buck. We are renting buildings like crazy. We name the renter government. If you go by another, every time you look at a building or government department in that, they're renting that. If we could rent so much building, why not fix up Port Thomas and clean it up nice and paint it up good and make it for government offices? There's so much things that we could do. Go downtown Bastia, look at the clock. You wonder if it's in war with somebody, it's in some foreign country. Not even clean up, not even fixing the time and the clock. How can you say anything about that? All you have to do, get some investor who come in here is thinking, we're getting so much people getting citizen by investment. This is your country now. Why don't they get them to contribute something to the country of which they become citizens too?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to bring them here in lavish jet to do what? To sit around and do what? And take you out for some lavish lunch? Come on. They must be able to donate something to this country other than just come in and bathe in our sunshine and enjoy the beach and so on. We can do better than what we are doing. Take them on a tour, show them what needs to be done and where can they help. Even if you're going to name them after them, the areas after them, call it Joblo, but at least we get it fixed. Look at the beautiful terminal that we have down there, the ENC Port Terminal. And it's falling apart because there's no maintenance. All those bus stops by the side of the road, they're not being maintained. Why are we paying $250 so extra money to people and we are not getting the courthouse clean? And we're still renting a courthouse building. People must do something for the money that they make.
Yeah. Okay,
if
caller.
You want extra money, do extra work.
Okay, caller. I'm due for a break, but feel free to call anytime because I love the way you express. Okay.
98.9 Win FM.
Let's stop child sexual abuse. The age of consent is 16, yet our 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10-year-olds are becoming victims of sexual abuse and exploitation, which is being forced into sexual activity before they are old enough to decide. This causes mental, emotional, and physical harm to our children. Parents, it is your responsibility to protect and to educate your children. Develop a relationship of trust with your child. If they trust you, they will tell you. Child sexual abuse cannot be our norm. We must work together to correct this. Help us prevent, help us protect, help us prosecute. A message by the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services. Contact us at 467-1311 or 662-6833 for more information.
Building supplies, electrical supplies, furniture, appliances, carpets and tiles. It's the company where you can get it all. All at TDC, home and building depot. Lawn and garden, the TV home and building their code. Come on down, get what you're looking for. It's all at TDC, home and building their code.
Campari, Red Passion, embrace the mix.
Campari, Red Passion, full action, this is Red Passion. Embrace the mix, add Campari, make it turn and twist. Add your chaser in your drink. Campari, Red Passion, make the nicest mix. Campari.
Campari Red Passion, embrace the mix. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
Too often, customers are counted but not valued, like mere numbers, statistics, transactions. But at Flow, we're rewriting the rules and prioritizing you, our valued customers, who have been with us through every milestone, every moment. That's why we're putting our money where your loyalty is. Flow customers claim your $600 gift card when you add internet to your current postpaid plan. Because loyalty isn't a one-way street. At Flow, loyalty flows both ways.
And we're back. The time is approximately 17 minutes moving away from the 11 o'clock hour. You're listening to Voices. Now, I've said before and I will repeat. When I get here on Voices, I do not intend for this to be the usual, just speak about the trivial things in our society. I want us to take life serious. I want us to look at where we are, where we were, where we are, and where we wish to be. Anyone who knows me, including my children, will tell you I am not much of a talker. But yet still I get here and I speak and I try my best to elaborate on whatever topic or issue. I am not much of a talker because I am more of a thinker. I like to listen and I like to analyze what I hear. But when I get here on this program, I feel the onus is on me to put forward issues that would better develop your ability to hear, to comprehend, to analyze, and to come up with solutions. I said before, and I will repeat, we as a people, we as those who are called the electorate, we vote for a government and then we expect them to do good things. I am saying we need to stop voting for governments and expecting them to do good things. We need to vote for governments and demand that they do good things. As a parent, if you expect your child to always do good, you are in for a surprise. The child, whenever it has its own scope and leeway, will get up to other things. As parents, we demand that our children follow the rules we set. Over time, because those children know that you are consistent with the rules that you set, they will adhere to the rules. For instance, if for the first X amount of months the child tried to stray away from the rules that you set, and the child or the children realize that, boy, my parents don't make joke, my parents always observant, whenever I make a slip they on me, those children will follow your rules. It is the same with politicians. Politicians will do what you demand of them if they know that at the end of their term, if they don't do what you demand, you will move them. This has nothing to do with whether you're Labour, you're die-hard Labour, your family has been Labour since you're born, you meet them Labour, and no. This has to do with what you expect for your country, and because you expect it, you demand it. You say to your politicians, I demand that within this 4-year, 5-year period, I see some results. If I don't see some results coming up to they have a tendency coming up to the last year and a half, then they start to run full speed and start to do things. Let them know, look, I am aware that you've been doing this. It is not going to work anymore. We give you a time when you get in. We give you the first year and a half to get yourself set. After the first year and a half, we do not want any excuses. We do not want you to be coming and telling us what the prior system did. We want to be able to say to you, and you be able to say to us, this is what we are doing now, and if you follow the projection, we intend to do better. Politicians will be politicians, just as children will be children. Politicians will only do what you demand of them. If politicians realize that you always expect them to do good but they don't do it, then they will always give you what you expect, a little crumb on your... Let me tell you, when I was growing up, I have a caller. Caller, bear with me. When I was growing up, there was this gospel song, and it says, God, please give, I am not worthy, give me the crumbs from the table. And I hated that song. I hated that song, and I still hate that song. And I believe it's because of songs like those why we have been in servitude for over 400 years. Do not give me the crumbs from your table. I demand more than the crumbs. You want to tell me the Creator made you, and you say the Creator made you in His own image, but all you expect is the crumbs from the Creator's table? Come on. No. If the Creator made you and I in His own image, after Himself or herself, then the Creator expects you to and I to elevate yourself to where you are on a certain level, and your expectancy is higher than crumbs. Hello, caller, go ahead.
Yeah, Quinn, this me. I was just listening to you. I don't think I know that song personally. Maybe I need to do some research.
It is I'm sure most of the Christians out there know it is a very old gospel song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, that don't come to mind. I've heard people speak of it, but I've never heard this song. But I've heard one or two persons spoke of it in the past.
Yes.
But let me say quickly. Now, Miss Henry had brought up an issue, and I want to quickly address that because I want to quickly address another subject. First of all, not because the Bible set men as the head over women in certain things, like the family and the church, and government and women is not supposed to be in government. Not because of those things means that the Bible had a different standard of justice for men and women. No, it just had one standard of justice for both men and women. And when she spoke about women preaching in the last days and that sort of stuff, number one, those last days, for example, in Hebrews chapter 1, verse 2, and in many other places, those last days were really those years leading up to AD 70, when the temple and so on were destroyed in Jerusalem. Those were the last days. Those were the last days of the old covenant in its physical, outward, shell sense, and not the way it is being used by most people who are Christians today. And I am not against women preaching. But when it comes to church services, preaching in church services and church gatherings, that is off limit for women. But women could preach outside anywhere. Women could preach anywhere. One-on-one preach whole outside, outdoor ministering preaching. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just that when the church is gathered together for worship, in corporate worship, that is not the place for women preaching. I said that before, and I say it again. I guess I'm going to say that many other times because people are misunderstanding what I'm saying. No, another issue I would like to say, is that, you see, all these talks about hotels and all these talks about even to a certain point, agriculture and so on. You see, I deal with things the biblical way. Now, I think what government should do, let me put it this way. If the good Lord was to put me in government, what I would do, I would put a halt on the selling of government lands. I would put a halt on it. And whatever government lands government own right now, the remainder of it, I will share it up freely to Kittitian families. That is what I would do. I will share it up freely to Kittitian families. And if enough land is there, I would do it by the size of the family. That is what I would do. Because people, that's the biblical way to go. Because people owning land is the most important thing financially speaking that can happen to people to promote their financial well-being.
Greg, let me interject here. I agree with you to some extent, but I feel that if we're gonna give land, distribute, if we're gonna distribute lands to our people, we need to educate our people on the importance of owning land. We need to educate our people about what land means to posterity. I say that because, for instance, let me use Nevis as an example. We grew up knowing that most of the Nevisians, back when I was a youth growing up, a lot of Nevisians owned their own land. Now, from what I understand, someone will have to correct me if I am wrong, it seems to me after the older generation of Nevisians died off, who seemed to have understood the importance of land and its meaning to posterity after they died off, and a lot of the younger generation inherited the land. The younger generation sold a lot of the land to foreign individuals. I remember some years ago when a lot of people, Kittitians, went over to Nevis and they said, man, you should see how them young Nevisians live in, man. They have the best cars and the best so and so and so. And it seems to me, I heard a few older Nevisians say that a lot of the younger Nevisians who inherited land and property sold a lot of the land and property and spent it on things like flashy cars, making sure they traveled a lot and blah, blah, blah. And again, let me say this, because if I am wrong, someone would have to correct me. It seems to me that presently a lot of Nevisians, the newer, younger generation of Nevisians coming up now, do not own land. Because recently I've been hearing a lot of Nevisians saying, where we going to get the land from? Oh, they want to, so it is not like it used to be before. And that is the example I use. If any system of government or otherwise is going to give land to its citizens, those citizens must be aware of the importance of that land and to hold on to that land and let it pass from generation to generation. Or else, 2 generations down the line, another young generation sells the land, and in the future, Kittitians and Nevisians do not own any land. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, well, I do not know about the Nevis situation with the young generation selling the land, but as you said, but I'm sure still a ton load of Nevisian own land proportionately to Kittitians owning land in St. Kitts.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but nevertheless, land ownership for families, for St. Kitts, if you want Kittitian to always to remain the head and not the tail in St. Kitts, just like same thing in Nevis, Kittitians have to own the land. And like I said, I would have put a hole on all land selling and divide up whatever government remaining lands are in government hands and and distribute them freely to Haitian families. And it depends on how much. I would do it according to the size of the family. Not only that, for me personally, I would also, as the Bible said, I would also bring, my goal would be to make taxes to be 100% voluntary, so things will be very, very inexpensive and affordable, and so Haitian would be able to most easily build their houses and their land.
I agree with you on the land distribution thing, but I do not agree with you that taxes should be 100% voluntary, because I am telling you, it is just a matter of logic. No one is going to get up and willingly pay taxes. So I understand that certain taxes should be paid, but I do not agree with you that the paying of taxes should be 100% voluntary. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, with the kind of government that is biblical, which is what I would do, it would not need much money, because it would be a very small, very limited government. It would not need nowhere near the kind of money that is needed now to run our government today. Okay? And I believe, like I said, I put my full trust in the Bible as the highest authority in my life, and I believe God would give enough, put it in people's hearts to give enough to sustain such a small government that He recommends, which I would implement.
Greg, until government privatize things like roads and certain other infrastructure, government, because just stop and think about present day. Just to do the Island Road, and you see what the roads being going up to St. Peter's and so forth. You know how much millions that costs?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, you're my ally with that. But also, let me say this as well. For example, I have seen some shameful videos over the weekend. Very shameful. It hurt me hard, to be quite honest about it, with the RLB airport.
Yes.
It really hurt me hard. I think they were more shameful. And I want to say something, but...
Greg,
I want to say something, but I don't think I can say.
Pause a while.
Yeah,
hello, caller.
Yeah, man. Good morning to you guys, man. How you guys doing, man?
Morning.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of want to, agree with you and Greg there, partially with the land situation. Undoubtedly, the land should be.
Caller, before you go further, you're from your division, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and you are. I can term you as a younger person, right?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay. And you own land, right, in Nevis?
Well, I'm going to tell you, luckily, by inheritance.
Well, so I know. Wait, I know. I have my reasons for asking you. Okay, so you are in Division 1, you are a younger Division 2, and whether by inheritance, however you want to term it, you have land. But I'm going to venture to say that you are one of the younger individuals who understand the importance of land, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So I am assuming you have no intention of selling the land that you have been fortunate to inherit anytime soon, if ever.
Not at all.
Okay.
If I can help it.
Okay. You may go ahead.
And to that I may add, I want to say, give thanks and praise the Almighty. Maybe I'm one of the few that maybe thought about doing things the biblical way. And I'm just going to say, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I'm going to say thank the Lord for letting it be possible for me to invest in Nevis and in the Federation on the wider scale. And I'm going to put it out there. I was fortunate enough to invest some money, putting down a house in the village of Cotton Ground. And it was a big struggle for me. And at this point, I just want to say that I was lucky. I tell myself to be fortunate, but I've invested in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis by putting on a house there in Cotton Ground.
Yeah.
And to this point, the house is completed, and I have a tenant that's living in the house currently.
Well, let me ask you another question. You said it was a struggle. You said it was a struggle to acquire to the point where you are. But let me ask you this: didn't the fact that you inherited some land make it a bit easier in developing what you had to what you have?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Okay. So again, we're
me personally.
Yes.
Me personally, I'm going to expand on what you're saying. Me personally, I know the importance of that. I know the importance of that land, and I know the importance of keeping that in the family. You know, we have some other family situations that's going on, and everybody don't think alike, and everybody is not seeing down the road. And like you made the statement that because, and then I'm going to add to that statement, because some people get it easily, they also give it up and get rid of it easily as well.
Yes. Good point.
And you make a great point. You know, if we don't see the importance of keeping that land, then we will just sell up accordingly. And then when we don't lose our opportunity that we got, we look around and we want to point fingers and blame each other and blame other persons.
Yes.
For your mishaps, your mishaps and your mess up.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna say it loud and clear. If I give you $100 and I give Greg $100, what both of you all do with your $100, that's your business. But one of you ain't gonna go and gamble it away, and the next one invest it, and then when you don't gamble away yours, you want to come look at Greg and come asking Greg for his. But remember now, you all had equal opportunity.
Yes, yes.
And that's how we treat each other in these families. You know, we got to live by example. And on the bigger scale, when we look at the land in St. Kitts and Nevis, we talking from coming down from Bratcher, the first national hero. And some of those persons who got that history, I would hear them say, Bratcher secured the land for the people, right? Then after that, what started happening with the lands, we don't know. But the sugarcane industry closed down, and our leaders didn't have the proper plan for them lands. And a portion of that land should be secured for the locals. Some of it should be secured for agriculture. And all of the laws that these parliamentarians are going in parliament and passing, we are not seeing them passing any law to secure the land.
Caller,
not seeing that happen.
Caller, pause a minute there.
Sure.
I remember when Lindsey Grant was running to be elected as leader of the federation. During his campaign, he said something that I will always remember. Now, I do not agree with a lot of things that Lindsey Grant did during the course of when he was running for politics and so forth, and some mistakes that he made. But what I'm going to draw reference to is during his campaign, in the early part of his running for election, he made a very bold statement that I think Petition should have taken him up on and see if he had won, if he would have put that in place. His statement was that if he was elected, that the sugarcane lands, he would find ways of distributing the sugarcane lands to the masses of the people. Now, tell me, can a people ask for better than that?
No,
they
Yeah,
can't.
hold. Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, Quinn,
Yes.
Let me say this. Number one, I'm going to start with Bratcher, because I'm going to do with the Lindsey Grant thing as well. But number one, you got to start with Bratcher. Now, I remember there was some kind of town hall meeting during, and Edmund Lawrence said in the town hall meeting that Bradshaw, he acquired the land for agricultural purposes, mostly cane. He did not acquire it for residential purposes. I think Sam Conda had disagreed with him somewhat.
Yeah, I remember that statement that he made, and I disagreed with him also.
Well, okay. But what I'm saying that I think probably I more agree with him because it did not look to me that Bradshaw was really acquired it really and truly for the purpose of residential. He more acquired it for purposes.
Okay. So let me pause, Greg. I told you that I do farming in a particular area. In that area, recently, Miss Henry spoke to it. In that area of Parsons, from going down to, let me see, Harris's, in the Harris's area going down there, Bratchett distributed some land in that area to local people, right? And this was told to me by farmers from that time, right? Those older farmers said to me that Bratchett told them back then that they should live on the farm. They should live on the land. I said that some time ago. But what they did, as we often do as a people, we do not take good advice. What the farmers told me, about 3 of them, older farmers, some have passed on to the great beyond, and I know one at least of them who went away and perhaps is still in foreign. And what the farmers said to me was that instead of taking the advice of Bradshaw, what they did was follow one another and take these little lots of land and just started building. So when you see a village of like Sadlers, where you have these houses on little plots of land, that is what the farmers said they did. Now, fast forward. Do you remember a time when Pam got in power? If you go up to the Harris's area, you will see, well, the roads are in disrepair now, but if you go up, you will see going up way across the trails and up into the mountains, you will see the roads were paved, right? I remember when I first went up there, I saw that the roads were paved, and I remember saying to the woman I was involved with at the time, I remember asking her, how is it that all these land up here were paved? And she told me it was because Kennedy Simmons at the time had paved going up there with the intent to sell those lands to foreign investors and so on and so forth. Now, here's what I'm asking you to remember. During that period when Kennedy Simmons decided he was going to sell those lands, those old farmers who had been given the land but who did not go follow Bratchett and live on the land, those farmers went up there and they made such a big uproar that is why eventually, and I think after that Pam lost the election, but that is why now when you go, you see the roads, but there was no development, right? Now let me fast forward again. Denzil Douglas became leader, and because Denzil Douglas did whatever he did to the citizens by investment, and Denzil Douglas, he propelled the citizen by investment to a level where it started to gain a vast amount of money for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yes.
And the Denzil Douglas regime now went on a venture to start selling lands. So you see the irony. You see the irony of where you move from Bratchett. And I made that point because you said you disagree that Bratchett gave the land to the farmers but if he gave land in those areas to farmers and told them to live on them, then that historically shows you beyond the shadow of a doubt that Bratchett intended for farmers to live on the land.
No, what I said, Quint, what I said, maybe I didn't come over clear. what I said, I agree with what from what I seen. I believe I agree with Edmund Lawrence that Bratcher's main intention for the land was not residential for residential purposes,
Yes.
but predominantly for agricultural purposes. Because I know of a woman that me and she were good friends, and she told me she got land on the Bratcher as well.
Yes.
Okay, so I know people had got land for residence on the Bratcher, but
Yes.
that was not the real dominant purpose for acquiring the land.
Okay,
It was more for sugarcane than anything else.
I would kind of agree with you on that. Yes.
And that is why I more take the side of from what I say from Edmund Lawrence. I more take his side in my argument.
But when Edmund Lawrence made that statement, there was a psychology behind the statement he made. He made that statement, and I agree with you. Bratcher might have been more inclined to get the land for agriculture. But when Edmund Lawrence made the statement, the psychology behind that was he wanted to send a message to the people that they should not expect to own any land because Bratcher didn't take the land for them to own land. That was the psychological point that he wanted to send out.
And that part I disagree with.
Okay.
That we should own land. That part, but I'm just stating the facts. The facts is, as it seemed to me, Bratcher acquired the land mainly for cane field purposes.
And it is because of that statement too why Denzel Douglas even end up losing, because they had started to sell land, and a particular individual asked Denzel Douglas why he was going around selling all this land, and Denzel Douglas looked at him and said, "Well, I will sell you too." You remember that? Okay.
Yes, I remember it quite well. I remember it quite I think I either heard it or the person told me. And not the person told me about it, but I want to be a may I may not have heard it directly, but not the person told me about it.
Yes.
Yeah, so what I have said in the past, I said I agreed with Bratcher acquiring the land, but I disagreed with him not sharing it up.
Okay.
To the people. That is a past statement. I'm repeating that again. But what I'm saying, when it comes to Lindsey Grant now making that statement, what he said, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I think Lindsey Grant salted himself because the Marriott issue.
Yes.
Was Marriott, right?
Yes.
Marriott issue, and not only that, but when he brought up that land issue, to the best of my knowledge, it was not too far from election.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So I guess people just cite as a desperate election gimmick, and they didn't really trust him.
Could have.
Okay? That because he brought it up very near election. I remember Pam was having a difficulty. I don't think people were too sure if Pam was going to get elected and that sort of stuff at that time.
Yes.
So I guess people saw it as an election gimmick thing. So people, I don't think I'd really trust him with that statement. Plus, I say the other issues as well.
Okay, but pause there. I'm going to let the other caller call in because I don't want you to hold him. But pause there.
Yes.
Pause here. Here's my point. My point is this. Remember, I keep reiterating that people need to stop expecting and make demands. So having said that, here, if a politician makes certain statements, we as the electorate must be very keen. We must listen. And whether or not we think it is a ploy or election gimmick, it is such a profound and important statement that we should hone on to it and make the politicians prove themselves wrong. Do you agree with me or not?
Yeah, that was a very powerful statement. I agree.
Okay.
I agree, but that to say the proclaimer, the message had looked a bit more of a desperate thing than a genuine thing.
He had some.
But the message was a powerful message. It was a powerful promise.
He had a lot of baggage along with him. So, caller, sorry to keep you waiting. Go ahead and make your point, and you can finish. Go ahead. Sorry to, but you know how these conversations go.
No problem. Okay, so just let me say, right, some of what I'm about to say might not be favorable, but I like how you threw Denzel Douglas's name in the mix. Me personally, I don't like to be talking about people like that, but I've heard a comment that he made. He said,
Well, I only call names. I only call
"Yeah,
names.
no, I'm not.
Let,
I'm
let
not
me
getting
let
on you. I'm not getting on
no
you because
no let
calling
me
that name
let
was
me
good."
make this statement. I call names when I have history to back me up. Okay,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm not.
Yes.
When I said that, I didn't mean to take it back. Really, I
Yes.
just wanted to say, yeah. But you was talking in good context, and like you said, you got the history and the facts.
Yes.
The truth will set you free every time. Because I'm gonna continue right down that vein you was on.
Yes.
As we mentioned, Denzel Douglas's name. We're not talking about all the good. We give him credit for the good he did, but when it comes to the lands, I believe he messed up on them lands. Believe it or not,
Messed up.
he made a statement that I've heard on many clips that played many times. He said, "Roger secured the lands, and then now it's his time to distribute them." You know what I mean? And
Yes.
we just didn't have that proper plan. But what I want to say additionally is the Team Unity went after some of those lands and got some of the lands. There was a land for debt swap that I'm referencing. The Team Unity went after some of those lands that was involved in that land for debt swap, and they got some of those lands back.
Yes.
And then what I'm thinking that this government should continue that in that vein to try to get more of those lands back if there's still lands out there with that land for debt swap. Get those lands back for the people. And like you said, when somebody asked Douglas about selling out the lands, he lost the election. Well, this government that's in right now, if they go after some of those lands and bring that lands back into the government's control and maybe distribute those lands to some of the people, not just the people that's bankable. You have a term that they've been kicking around, bankable.
Yes.
In light of the fact that the East Coast housing scheme came up with the problem, and that project doesn't seem like it's going to go forward. If this government make an attempt to go after some of those lands and bring them back into the government's control and then distribute them to some of the people, especially those that's not bankable, I'm saying to maybe do that as a makeup for the mishaps of the East Coast project not being successful or coming to fruition. And I guarantee you, when the next election comes up, it'll be hard to move this Labour government. And differently than that, we look at Nevis. We've seen that they're over in Nevis, talking about Nevisions not owning the land like how they used to before. There's a special realtor company on Nevis that's going after all those lands on the south side of Nevis that's still owned by local people. And they're trying to get those lands in their possession so that for whatever reasons they are trying to get those lands for, but the people got to be educated, you know what I mean? And our leaders just can't be pulling the okie doke on the people. They got to be truthful and honest and bring that integrity and that transparency.
But
because they're not trying to put on that south side of Nevis. They're not trying to put the infrastructure in now because they know the owners will probably hold on to the land and their land value will go up. But they're trying to trick the people by trying to buy them out low, and then when they put that infrastructure in, then the value goes up. And then the people who would have sold out would have lost out on a lot.
And caller, let me interject here. And from what I understand, someone will have to correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that behind the buying up of those lands to distribute to these foreign investors is a particular individual who is presently in the leadership position on Nevis.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And
so caller, you understand the predicament that Nevisians are in? If this is true,
yes, I very much understand that.
If this is true, could you imagine a leader of Nevis trying to get these lands from the very same people who elected him? If this is true, and from what I gather it is so, imagine this leader trying to get the land from the very same people who elected him and put him in that position so he could put it into the hand of foreign investors, knowing that his people will lose the strength of posterity and will not regain
correct.
and
That's
will not
correct.
and will
And
not and will not get back that land. You understand? I mean,
That's correct.
you
That's
can't
correct. And I'm 100% behind you with that.
you
and
can you cannot
that's why I come up
make
with this.
you cannot make this stuff up. You would think the last person to do such a thing would be a leader of the very same country.
People. It will be the leader of the people. It will be a shame if Nevis to sit there and let that happen. Because we see what's happening on the peninsula side of St. Kitts. And that's why I coined the phrase, our leaders don't have the integrity. They're selling out the place, and they're not representing the people that put them there. And we just can't be just chopping up the land for hotels just so that our local people can get these remedial jobs at these hotels. And we're not securing the land for agriculture in a sustainable state that we are talking about to become sustainable with food and to be able to feed our own people. So the people got to pay attention to these type of stuff, man, because these stuff are very important, especially for the locals, because when all these foreigners influx, then what's going to happen later on in St. Kitts Nevis? The oligarchs will be in control.
Okay.
And that's all I really want to say for today, man.
Well, before you go, let me give you a little bit of advice. You see, you are a young person. You seem to be an intelligent young person. From what I garner, the way you have spoken over time, you have intentions, if you can, of getting into politics. That's why you always bring up the Brian clause. Okay. Having said that, I gave you advice before, and I'm going to give you advice again, because I think that is the problem with our society, especially the men, the older men like myself in our society, not giving proper advice and not setting proper examples for the younger generation. Here's my advice to you. As you move forward with the intent of going into politics, be very aware of the companies that you keep. Be very aware of who you align yourself with, because depending on who you align yourself with, you will not only tarnish but retard your potential of ever being elected. And there's a particular individual, I don't know his name, but he recently came on the scene, and he also has ambitions of getting into politics. But I am not impressed with him. The reason I am giving you advice is because you are younger. And when a person is young, they can listen, they can learn, and they can move forward. That older person, recently I heard him on a statement, again, making a statement, backing up this guy for the this MSR business. And here's what he said. Here's what this older individual who wants to get into politics said. He said, when a man commits a crime and he pays for his crime, we should give him a chance to move forward. Now, that is partly true. But recently, our Prime Minister said that this same individual came into his office and offered to bribe him. So I would think that an older individual who is thinking of going into politics would understand that this individual he is referring to not only did bad in the past and paid the price for it, but he is still walking down a road of doing bad things. Because if he is bold enough to walk into the office of a present Prime Minister and threaten to blackmail that Prime Minister, it means he hasn't changed. But yet still this individual who is looking forward to becoming a leader in our country by way of politics is making a statement, being completely, it seems, oblivious to the fact that this person hasn't changed. Now, when an older individual with ambitions to become a politician thinks that way and moves that way and makes foolish statements like that, I feel that person should never be given a chance to hold the reins of leadership. So my advice to you, because I know that you have to some extent been listening to this individual, I am advising you, you are free to do as you wish, but I am advising you, if you intend to get anywhere in politics, step away from people like those.
Yes, yes.
And I'm gonna say, before I let the other caller come in, I'm gonna say thank you for that advice. And me, I'm a well or more rounded individual. I may come in and be very passionate, all right, and like that one day when I was talking and I used that word corrupted. I used to put that pretext with that seems corrupted.
Yes.
And I came back and I revised that statement. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
you did.
But me right now, I'm trying to take the emotion out of things, and I'm
Yes.
trying to be more open as much as I can and be more groomed, more rounded.
Yes.
And I believe I'm doing a good job. I grew up in Cotton Ground Village, and I'm gonna put my name out there again. My name is Burl Jones. For those who ain't know who I am, there's a lot of people in the Federation who knows who I am.
Yes.
And I'm gonna put it out there again. I went up into Charleston Secondary School, and there I met Mark Brantley at 12 years old. Not to say that I'm aligning myself with him,
Yes.
but I'm going to put it out there. Me, I'm an independent thinker. I'm an independent person. Nobody is going to influence my brain, bro.
Yes.
I think for myself. For the advice you just gave me, I'm very, very thankful for that, and I'm going to take that, I'm going to take it good. I'm going to take it from you straight like that, from you as a man. I'm going to take it straight from you. Me, once I grew up in Cotton Ground, and I grew up in the village there, where my parents hosted the former NRP, the old NRP, in the campaign there, and I believe to myself, I'm a product of my environment. I migrated out to Federation in 1985. I got reconnected to the political scene around 2013. And since then, I've sent my biopic down to a particular person who was very impressed with it. But once I start hearing about that Brian clause, I'll put the brakes on it.
Yes.
So that's how far removed I am from 2013 to this is now 2025.
Okay.
And I got some advice. I got some advice from the former Clarence Amry, and that's where I stood my ground.
Hold a second. We're 2 minutes over time. I'm going to allow you to wrap up your statement, and then I'm going to allow Greg to wrap up his statement. Go ahead.
Okay, so right now, once again, thank you for that advice. Thank you for hearing me this morning. And all the persons who are out there hearing my voice, I hope they can listen attentively to what I'm saying. And going forward, me in particular, I want to see the best for St. Kitts and Nevis. It seems like there's a lot of corruption there, of course, and I'm looking forward to getting that corruption cleaned up. And I'm looking forward to the next election as well.
Okay.
And for me, I'm going to hold my ground, and then I can see what I can do with my own self going forward.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man, and you guys have a good day.
Yeah. Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, Quint, like I said, owning land, the people of the Federation, the families of the Federation owning land is very important and a most important economical foundation for the people to be moving forward, because land can be used as collateral and that sort of stuff. No, I am not a fan of Thomas Sankara. I'm not a fan of his, but he did something that was correct, and that's the fellow who was the leader of
Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
Before Chore, and he did something that I have to admit was good, was that he divided the land up to his people, distributed the land to his people, and the wheat production doubled.
Yes.
And I would like to say lastly, the reason why I do not respect these churches is because you're going to tell me a son politician in Nevis getting his people to sell their land, to sell to foreigners, and the churches are saying, man, I would have been under pulpit telling the people, hey, don't listen to this politician. Your land are very important financially, economically, and do not be selling your land. The church is supposed to be the conscience of society and be educating the people of society.
Okay.
The church is just as bad as the politician. Okay, thank you.
Okay, take care. And that's how we're going to bring an end to Voices for today. We're 5 minutes over time. We go straight into the WinFM Midday News.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by The Grange and Carib Brewery.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With the WinFM Midday News, I am Kevon Brown. Our top stories. Police Commissioner James Sutton addresses misinformation and infrastructure challenges in the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. Heavy rains test infrastructure resilience in St. Kitts and Nevis and neighboring islands. CARICOM two-part